Hello, good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are. This is another live Q&A segment of Carnivore Ramblings for myself, Jonathan. If you have any questions for me today, please just post them in the comment section or the reply section. I think it's called the live chat. You'll find that if you click on the two messaging sort of chat buttons on your screen. You should be along the side as well if you're on your computer anyway. So if you have any questions today, please just get them across to me. I thought I'd address something that is on my mind a lot at the moment. So this past week I've done, I believe this is my 6th live Q&A in probably the last 6-7 days. So I'm quite busy on the computer, as you can imagine. So 2 of those are actually in a private forum group that I like to attend, which is quite good fun. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is I'm sat here and my hip is in a lot of pain sometimes, but I am enjoying this quite a bit, and it does actually distract me from the pain I'm currently in. So I'm not sure why it's happening, but what basically happened recently is that my right hip has been severely inflamed for the last, I'd probably say the last 6, 7, maybe 8 days. Sophie actually took me to the walk-in centre, like a walk-in hospital sort of thing, last week to try and get a scan, like an x-ray, to see if anything bad is going on. Nothing could be done that day, so they couldn't do a scan or anything. Since then, I've done a few little tricks I'd usually do to sort of lower inflammation. At this point, it makes me think that my pain isn't inflammatory. I mean, there is inflammation because, granted, I'm in pain. It's very localized. It seems to be across the sacrum and the right SI joint, the sacroiliac joint. Now, it feels like I've been hit on the lower back, just below my incision point, with a cricket bat. Or I've perhaps fallen off my, fallen on my backside going down the stairs. That's how bad it feels all the time. But I'm just getting on with it because I've been in this sort of situation before. Pain isn't new to me. It's not anything out of the blue. I'm very, very, very familiar with pain. This pain is a bit strange though, because it seems no matter how much I rest my body, it's not getting any better. So I've actually spent the last few days, with the exception of like doing a few upper body sessions in the gym, some light walking around the shops maybe. I spent most of my time in bed, laying down, trying to take all the pressure off, so it's quite a surprise to me. I'm not sure why it's happening. But the the thing I'm currently doing is a high omega-3 intake. I'm trying to lower inflammation through that way. I think that at this point it is affecting my sleep day to day a lot. So I'm at the point now where I will do virtually anything outside of cause damage to myself, further damage, to reduce the pain I'm in, because my sleep is grossly affected by it. I'm tossing and turning all night, and the pain is quite unbelievable. It's frustrating to say the least. So what I'm doing now is a high omega-3 intake, and since last night I've begun a fat fast. So I've done basically butter, a tiny bit of milk, and a tiny bit of protein powder just for flavouring really. But I've made some like my carnivore butter bites. You guys are probably quite familiar with those. So yeah, my fat intake is, well, today was something like 250 grams, maybe give or take. Protein about 20 grams, and carbs was like 5-6 grams. So I'm seeing if giving my digestive system a break makes any difference at all. I'm not entirely convinced it will, but I think it is time that I've had a break from the massive amount of food that I'm usually eating. So yeah, I'm not going to be doing this sort of thing often. It does have very, very, very limited applications, and it is more of an experiment just to see if it does anything. At this point, I'm willing to try most things just to feel a bit better, because when it impacts your sleep, you guys will know it's quite quite dangerous long term for your health, because once your sleep goes downhill, everything else plummets, you know. So that's just something I wanted to get across in this. If you've got any questions around that, perhaps some ideas of why I'm doing it or anything like that, just send a question and I'll address it more intricately or more detailed. So look at the live chat now to see what's going on. We've got Rick with us. Hello. Time to feed the ducks. You fattening them up for slaughter, Rick? Let me know. Hello from the Duck House. Hello, Matthew. Nice to see you. Zbigniew, nice to see you as well. Thank you for your recent contact as well. That was very useful to see. And hopefully we get the plan working ready tomorrow. If you have any questions in the meanwhile, of course, just let me know. You know me, I'll get back to you as quickly as I can usually. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some really good results. I think you're at the point now where you can really start to dig a bit. And I'm excited for you, which is always a nice experience because it's nice doing all these things myself. You know, I can do different body composition stuff with my own body, but when you can see it happening with someone else, it's quite profound, you know. So it's always nice to see. So thank you for that. Hello, Michelle. Nice to see you. Let me know how you're getting on. I'm pleased to see you here today. I like Mondays, the Q&A that I do with Carnivore Ramblings because they seem to be very popular. I always seem to get good feedback on these. Friday ones are a bit hit and miss, and sometimes they're not very popular in terms of like the count of people that are in. But if we can get up to 15 people live in the chat today, I'll be very pleased. So yeah, it'd be great. And if you can share this out to anyone that you find that you think may find it useful, can you tell I've not eaten a lot today? Yeah, just let them know. I'm happy to answer questions. So the point of this basically is, rather than sending me direct questions through my inboxes, usually I get quite a few of them, you'd be surprised, but this is my free way of saying, you know, ask some questions, you can get my ideas about things. It's one way it can help a lot of people at once, because I do find them often answering the same questions over and over again, which isn't frustrating in that I have to repeat myself, but it's frustrating that more people can't get the knowledge that I have across. So ideally I'd have a template answer for every single question I had, but you know, what can you do? But hopefully you guys can ask some good questions today. Nice to see you. Glad you're here. Hello Tracy, how you doing? Nice to see you. How much cod liver is safe to eat in a week when there are these instructions regarding the liver? If you eat 2 cans a week, 400 grams. I'm not overly convinced that having liver from any animal, with the exception of highly carnivorous animals, so for example, a bear, if you had a bear liver, that would accumulate a lot of vitamin A into the liver itself because they're eating more predatory animals, which would accumulate more vitamin A up into the food chain. I think if you're having things like cod, you know, the sort of smaller animals that have liver, so chicken, lamb, even beef, because you know, they convert things into vitamin A basically. So that's not going to be an overly toxic endeavor. Now, what I do know is that there are groups of, should we say, medical professionals out there that do advocate a high liver intake. Things like liver or organs are more useful when you're very low on animal meat. So if you, for any reason, whatever that might be, have a diet that is low in animal meat, so the muscle meat I'm talking about here, so like a beef steak, if your diet is low in that, but you know, you want to get as much nutrition as possible, you would probably get more in, or you would definitely get more in for eating offal, liver, heart, spleen, thymus, kidney, pancreas, anything you can get from an animal. So it becomes more useful, but generally speaking, I think if you're getting enough protein from the muscle meat, you'll be fine. Now, if you are going to have liver from the cod, and that's, I believe you said 400 grams, I think that would be safe, providing you're coupling that with enough vitamin D, which seems to be indicated as useful. Now, I'm not an expert in the ratios of vitamin A and vitamin D. This is something I've learned from Harry Sopanos. And to my memory, if it serves me correctly, you want your A and D intake in terms of international units to be relatively equal. So I believe that he says the highest he goes up to, I think, is around 8 to 10,000 units of each per day. So yeah, I mean, it does seem to be useful in that sort of regard to get enough liver in, because I mean, liver's high in B12, a few other cofactors as well, which are very useful to the human body, especially if you have absorption issues. So you need more wholesome foods. You know, it's all good throwing a supplement in things, but whole food is, I'd say, almost always going to be best, almost always. But yeah, Matthew, to put it plainly, I think liver 400 grams a day from cod would be fine. We also have all the omega-3 in it, which I think is very useful to people like us that perhaps have a high requirement of it, or seem to benefit from it at least anyway. So we've got Jamie asked, have you tried Wim Hof breathing for pain management? It worked for me. Yes, I have, and I do practice this at times of night and also after the gym if I remember to do it. So part of all these biohacks are remembering to do them. You know, all the best things in life are usually free, like in terms of remedies, healing. I think that it is very useful to control your nervous system. That means that you're going to feel more relaxed. And I find where your mind goes, your body will follow. Where your body goes, your mind will follow. So it kind of seems to be symbiotically linked. What that means to the average person is that if you have a calm mind, your body will usually be calm as well, and vice versa. I think that it would be useful to do something like the Wim Hof breathing method for myself. Remembering to do it is another thing itself. So what I'm currently doing is focusing on getting the early sunlight hours, getting my sleep sorted as much as I can. The pain is frustrating, but I think a lot of my issue seems to be related to sleep and light. Obviously, the diet is very important to me as well, so that's something I'm focusing on. Now, as time goes on, you add in these things gradually, incrementally. So yeah, Wim Hof breathing, the style that he recommends, is something that I will be using as probably my next port of call. The reason why I'm not doing it now is not because I don't think it's useful or better or worse or anything like that. It's just because I believe you should increase things like one by one. I don't believe in throwing everything at something at once. I think that's makes it hard to know what's most effective. So if my pain management is much better as time goes on, and I notice that the Wim Hof breathing method is very useful, I'll start to implement it higher up that hierarchy of remedies, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's a great point, and I think that's very useful for people to know in the chat as well. So thank you for bringing that across to me. And as Vignesh said, it is to hear, have doctors explain what is going on with your back? No, so the last I heard about my back is that my left pedicle screw at the top left of my back, so this side of me, it's slightly loose. When I say loose, I don't mean it's going to fall out and it's going to kill me. I mean it's loose in that it could be a problem. But the thing is with spines, as you know, when you start tinkering with these things, it can aggravate the area. And I don't want to cause more damage than what I need. And that was his advice as well. And his co-surgeon, you know, his associate's advice. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now that's the left pedicle. He said there's no need to change anything because other than some minor sort of pain, it was minor at the time. This was at the 6-week mark, so a few weeks ago. He said my recovery is excellent. I'm doing exactly what I need to be doing right now, and I should be glad about what I've been doing, basically, which is kind of reassuring because I kind of knew that all along going into it. Without sounding arrogant, but when you spend all this time researching the best way to heal from something, I think you've got a good idea. You do listen to your body as well, which I've been very fortunate that people in the chat right now. So I speak to a lot of these people offline, and they sort of recommend listening to your body and doing all those sort of things, which I have been doing. And it is great advice, and it is reassuring to know that I've been doing that and have generally been trending upwards. Now, the right hip and the sacrum pain, so below my incision point, they are painful, and it is frustrating as hell. All I can think is that it's aggravated from my lack of mobility and flexibility. So what I did today actually is my stepsister Haley come round. She showed me a few stretches and I thought, can I do those? Maybe not. I found one I can do. The problem isn't holding the stretch itself, it's getting up from the floor once I've done the stretch. That's very challenging. Like, I'm on the floor for a long time if I have to get back up. So it's very difficult to get back up. I have to have the chair, position myself slowly, roll around. It's not a case of me getting up like a normal person. It's very challenging. So what it was basically lying my back flat and bringing my knee across to the side, then just tucking it slowly and holding it. When I'm doing this, I'm not trying to stretch as far as possible. It's just relieving the joint a bit, so it pushes it out of that sore hinge position, ball and socket position. So that's all I've been trying to do there. Outside of that, I just mentioned earlier at the start of this chat that I was doing some pain relief diet stuff. I've been doing ibuprofen quite a few times, doesn't do anything. So I think me using some painkillers would be a net negative, and that it's going to upset my guts. It's going to affect my healing, so that's not useful. Now, could I go to my GP that's about a 5-minute walk away and ask for some opiates, some stronger painkillers? Yes, but that would just mask the pain. I'm talking about getting some real root cause healing here. I'm sick to death of taking painkillers. I know the negative effects of them. I've suffered the negative effects of them, so I don't want to put myself in a position where I have to keep dealing with those. So that's where I'm currently at now with my back and what's going on. I've been quite fortunate. I've had lifts from my mum to get to and from the gym. I can do most things. It just takes me a long time to do them. Well, I say a long time. It takes me a bit longer. So maybe probably about 2/3 of my usual walking pace. Yeah, the things I need to address right now are sleep, mobility. I have some slight acid reflux, which has come out of nowhere. So that's partly why I've done the butter sort of fast today, just to see if it makes a difference. My appetite has gone down, which suggests to me my liver isn't functioning properly. So that's why I'm a bit iffy about taking some of these painkillers as well. So I'm thinking very cautiously about this. It's probably giving me anxiety thinking about how much I'm thinking about it. So, hey, Annabelle, how's it going? I believe you're back in the UK now. If everyone could follow Annabelle's Awareness YouTube channel, she's got some good videos that come out quite often. She's another carnivorous carnivorous individual from the UK originally. And she sort of does similar sort of videos to me, similar sort of style. But yeah, she has some interesting ideas about healing methods that I've not even looked into. So it's worth checking her out to see what she's got to say. Hello, Pacello, how's it going? This is probably the 3rd or 4th time I've seen you now in a few days, so it's nice to see you. Speaking of, says, thank you very much for coaching, ladies and gentlemen. Jonathan's amazing. Take advantage of his coaching. Yes, please do. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'll probably pin this comment if I can. I do have, because I tend to work with around 10 clients at any given time, sometimes 15. I think that is pushing it a bit. Now, I like doing the consultations for a lot of people. I find that people need the face-to-face interaction, because for those that don't know, my online coaching package is 28-day sort of course, effectively. One check-in per week, one official check-in, and if you have any questions throughout the week, you just let me know. This is all through text messaging, emails, WhatsApp, things like that. People do find it useful. People that can follow a plan very well and stick to it closely, they do benefit from a lot. I find that some people need more personal, intimate, detailed kind of coaching. So that means that they'll have to consult with me and they'll speak to me like I'm speaking to you now, and they'll get some advice that way. They are the most affordable on the market right now, without doubt. I believe it's something like $21 American for a 40-minute consultation, or it is 17 British pounds for a 40-minute consultation. I do 40-minute consultations now, only those, because I find that's long enough to help most people out and get them a rough idea. It's usually a case of me listening to your background, give me some context. Then from there, I'll be able to give you some ideas about how you're going to progress forward. And obviously, you need to tell me your goals as well. I find that 40 minutes is enough for people to sort of touch base. So I think that's a good sort of time frame. I think any longer, and people lose track of what I've said, and sometimes it can be hard to take a lot of notes. So 40 minutes frequently is quite useful. And people do find value from that. People that take on the advice I give them, use it effectively, they do benefit from it. I do have 100% satisfaction rate with my clients, especially those that take on the original advice that I give them. Sometimes you can't be perfect, and I think that's important to mention as well, but you can sort of improve some things if you just have that back and forth. And I think sometimes you slip up. A lot of my coaching clients sometimes slip up, and it means that they need an alternative or have to address something, and it means they have to change something, or I have to give them some extra advice. And that works very well for them. So don't stress out, be honest, communicate well. And I think that's the key to a good coaching program with me, or at least a consultation. So, and thank you very much for your compliment as well. Hunter. Hi, Jonathan, I have a question. Started 100% carnivore diet, cold turkey, after the standard American diet. Now I have constant diarrhea after 8 months of carnivore. Anything I could do to help this issue? That's interesting. Has anything changed in this period of time? Has your medication changed? Have you had any severe bouts of illness? Have you added in any supplements of any kind? Have you added in electrolytes of any kind? Have you changed your diet in any drastic way recently? Have you increased your fat intake recently? Have you had a stomach bug recently, so an infection? Has your environment changed recently? They're all things that I'd look at if I was consulting with you. And I honestly think that usually just takes a case of someone stepping back from what they're currently doing, getting on a sensible sort of carnivore diet plan. Don't push the envelope too much. Don't try to be perfect and do what people say is perfectly the line diet. Just do an animal foods diet. Eat the foods that you tolerate. Don't eat the foods that you don't tolerate. That's effectively it. If you have any more sort of questions around that, I would strongly suggest a consultation, just because it could be so many different things, like I mentioned, like the 6-7 things I just mentioned. So yeah, we can touch base on that, and hopefully I'll give you some ideas of what to look at and how you might benefit from things in the future. Hello, Sandra. How's it going? I saw you at you were on Harry's live the other day. Nice to see you. My nerve pain is relieved by sunlight and a finished sauna. Yeah. It's usually the sort of free things, isn't it? The things that, nature's given us. Yeah, I got out in the sun a little bit today. I feel a bit better for it, but we'll see. I'm not sure how long this fat fast will last, so I'm probably going to stop doing it tomorrow morning. I find once I get to like the 40-hour period of any fast, I tend to feel a bit rubbish. I find I'm too stimulated. Not necessarily a bad thing if I've been tired for so long, but it makes me feel a bit anxious. So it's not something I'd look at doing long term anyway. But yeah, sunlight, sauna, good stuff. Do you know the DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide? My family and myself are using this natural substance for many pains and illnesses. Help me and my parents greatly. Look up. Yeah, I've heard of that one. Some people do use things like this, which are a bit outside of the box. It sounds like something that isn't natural, but it's funny because it actually isn't natural. I find a lot of these things have like funny chemical names. Yeah, things like that can be useful tools. I will look into this specifically for the pain that I'm currently in. I'll see if it's useful or indicated at all. Yeah, probably looked at that sort of thing for pain, funny enough, but I will take note of that, and I will look into it tonight after this live. And just so you guys know, I did start this live an hour early today. Many of my viewers are from the European sort of area, so sometimes it means they can't get here in time effectively. So if I'm at 7 o'clock UK time, it might mean that someone in Hungary might be 10 o'clock Hungarian time. Makes it difficult for them to access this information. Of course, this information will be live in a recorded part of my channel after the point, so you can look back at this and hopefully find something useful if you've done anything. YouTube has a plethora of gentle chair yoga. Yeah, I need that sort of thing. We have something over here in the UK. I don't know if it still exists, but it's called chair aerobics. So it's effectively aerobic workout, so that lifting your arm up and that sort of thing for elderly folk. I think it's it's pretty nifty, really, because I think I could be doing something like that when I'm a bit older. Bit gentle chair yoga. I think there are things I could be doing. I did the stretching today, and I think that was a good suggestion, doing the chair yoga. So I'll try some of these stretches with the chair implemented. I don't know why I didn't think of that originally. It's a bit daft. But good idea. Then you need not on the floor. Yeah, crazy. I've got some not indicated as healthy Pepsi Max right here. I'm quite thirsty and I don't fancy water at the moment, so I'm just trying to drink something a bit different. But I'm probably doing about 2 cans a day, which isn't going to kill me, I don't think. Yeah, not on medication. Yeah, I think you also mentioned the taurine side of it. Yeah, taurine will be useful. I think it does regulate the pH balance of your gut, or helps sort of regulate the intrinsic factors of your gut, which help you tolerate things. It could be a number of things. Taurine would be my first bet in terms of supplements to take. Just the powder, no capsules, nothing, which could aggravate your gut. I've got some down here, actually got a few pouches, but yeah, just try a couple of grams of that a few times a day and see how that works out for you. As Harry would say, don't take it if you're on blood pressure medication without being sensible and adjusting your dose accordingly, and speak to your medical provider before the fact as well. Thank you. We've got my mum in the chat. Hi mum, how's it going? You're watching this from the next door room probably. If you have any questions about anything, this is the time to ask, because I'm going to bed after this. I'm very tired. Yeah, for anyone wondering, Sophie's not here tonight. I'm back at my mum and stepdad's place, so I'm just on my own today, just listening to my own voice, which is a bit sad, but still. If you do have any questions, please just put them across in the chat. And yeah, I might just start talking about what's on my mind at the moment. Yeah, so we've got Valentine's Day tomorrow, so I've made Sophie some things. Hopefully she's not watching this, because then it'll give it away. But yeah, she's gonna like her gifts, I think. You don't have to spend a lot of money, I don't think. I'm a bit of a tight ass, you might say, but I try to be quite efficient with my money if I can. Funny enough, the thing I spend most amount of money on is my health. Does anyone else do that out of interest? Obviously, like, yeah, my food is probably my biggest expense, but my food is kind of an expense that is a necessity, and it does seem to facilitate better health for me. So that's kind of how I add it in there anyway. Yeah, outside of that, anytime I think, oh, I'm going to treat myself, it's always like, I'm going to try and, I don't know, get a new protein powder with a different flavor to have after the gym as like a treat or whatever. It's never like I'm going to buy myself an Xbox. But I'm quite fortunate, actually. My brother gave me his Xbox One, I think it is. It's just below me here, but I need to get around to playing that at some point. But my fatigue is so bad at them, I just can't. So me and screens are a bit, you know. Hello, Sophie. How's it going? How was work? Can you provide me with some questions, please? Got 11 people in the chat, but no one has any questions for me. They just like Timmy Ramble, which I'm pretty good at today because I've got a lot on my mind. I might get Deborah here as well to spark things up a little bit. Here he is. Yeah, this is my teddy that I got probably around about, I'm trying to think now, how old was I? It may be like 7 or 8 years ago. It was given to me by a little boy that has autism, and it's kind of a symbol for me, because what happened was this boy would never like give you anything or show you signs of like affection, or, you know, like it's quite hard for him to be like that way, you know, like kind of understand that. But he won this for me once, and I was like quite shocked by it. Like I thought he was going to keep it for himself, but he gave it to me, and to me it's kind of a symbolism thing for me, because it kind of shows you sometimes you can think that something isn't going to be going out, you know, in your favor, then something nice will happen. So this is how I got Deborah. And Deborah identifies as a he. and he has a little house that he lives in. Try and zip it up. Oh, you've got it right around. There we go. This is home sweet home. That's where Deborah lives. Yeah, my mum said, yes, when's best to take taurine to relax at night? I think it's one of those things you don't have to take in an instantaneous effect kind of way. Like, I don't think you have to take it 30 minutes before bed. I think having it in your system, perhaps maybe 2 to 3 hours before bedtime would be useful. Now, what it does is it stimulates GABA A, which helps promote anti-anxiety kind of relaxation feelings. So that might be useful for a lot of people in the chat if they suffer sleep. There are actually currently at least 4 people in the chat which I speak to regularly which use taurine as a supplement. I'm not really much of a promoter of supplements. I think you can get most of the health benefits you need through just the diet and the lifestyle factors. But I think this sort of thing is cheap enough so I could advise people to take it without sounding like a shill or a sellout or anything. And if you're someone like my mum that doesn't eat a large amount of meat, which is her own, eating style, then yeah, taurine's gonna be useful because you're not going to find taurine in blimmin' bananas. You're going to find it in meat. The more you cook meat, the less taurine the food will have. So people that heavily cook their meat could have less taurine in it. So now when I say it can have less in it, I don't mean it can have an amount that will make you deficient, but I think some people can benefit from having slightly more than other people. So that's a key point here. I don't want people to start thinking, I've said to eat raw meat and this sort of thing. We've not said that ever. I think you should eat meat you enjoy. Some subtle biohacks here with nutritional supplements can be useful. For anyone that doesn't know, I recently became an affiliate of a brand called Boil and Broth. So this is run by a lady called Rachel Downs that runs a business in the UK. And I've met her quite a few times, and I've spoken to her actually on my channel. We had a conversation about healing leaky gut. So if anyone could post that in the chat, that'd be quite useful. Now she sells products which are based around bone broth from chicken, beef, lamb, and she also sells some fermented foods that she makes herself. So all these things are made by herself under strict sort of quality assurance standards. And with that, I can say that I can advocate for these sort of things in some circumstances. I think that bone broth can be useful for people like my mum in the chat that maybe don't eat whole cuts of meat, fatty cuts of meat with lots of bristle around it. So I think that's useful. Bone broth will have the minerals, electrolyte sort of factors in it. It will have some other ingredients in it which are useful. Generally, these things can be found in meat. Pretty much always can be found in meat, but they're useful supplements for people that don't want to eat meat. They just want a hot drink. I get a lot of people ask me, what can I do for a hot drink? But I don't want to drink tea or coffee. Have some bone broth. You can even make it yourself, or if you can't be bothered, you're too busy, you can get a scoop of the powder, put it in your cup, boil some water, done. And what I like about their bone broth powder is it's completely clean. It doesn't have any extras in it. It's literally bone broth dried up with all the nutritional factors intact, nothing added. That's it. There's no funny stuff in it. So it's a product I can get behind, and I think that it would be useful for many people. They do the water kefir as well. That's got some sugar in it, some of the things, but that's just for flavoring and also to ferment the grains themselves. So yeah, they do lots of different products there, and they do some for pets as well, which is quite cool. Food is always the first thing I buy before anything else. Yes. Food and keeping a roof over your head. Fortunately, that's already paid for, so I can live quite stress-free in that regard. Question: does it make a difference what time one should train? That's a good question. I think the best time to train is a time that you can practically train. What I mean by that is if you work 9 till 5 and you habitually wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, that might give you an hour gap in the morning before work to train. So I think that might be the best time to train. If you're someone that doesn't work that sort of schedule, you can train in the evening. But some people find as the day goes on, they feel more tired. So it might be that you don't train very well when the sun's gone down. For me personally, I like to train earlier in the day. Sophie and I typically train at around about 9 or 10 a.m. That's our start time. So for us, that's usually at the moment quite a frosty start. It can be, but we don't mind. But all we do is before we start training, we make sure our body temperature is higher than the temperature outside. And what I mean by that is we want to be able to train when we have a warm core. It's no good being out shoveling snow then thinking, oh, I'm going to do a workout now. No. Get some joggers on, get trackies, get a hoodie on, get warm, then you're less likely to become injured. Now, it can also be affected by the nutrition that you get around your training. So for me, I find with a carnivore diet, I can eat relatively close to the time I train. For me, it's about 90 minutes is optimal. 2 hours might be even better, but that's just not always practical for myself with the schedule that I usually have. So how your diet comes into it can affect the time of day you should train as well. Now, for example, if you want to train 6, 7 o'clock before work and you start at 9 o'clock, yeah, you can do that. You might just have to train fasted or go to bed earlier and eat a meal beforehand if you need a meal beforehand. I don't think these things are necessary or you have to eat beforehand or fast beforehand. I think what we've seen now is there's enough anecdotes from either side of the fence to say, if you feel good eating beforehand, eat. If you don't feel good, don't eat. Is an intuitive factor here, which I think is very, very, very underplayed. So don't always look for the optimal, the scientific proven way, because there's always going to be outliers to anything. I train best with one meal in myself. Sophie trains best with one meal in herself. My brother, I believe he eats 1 or 2 meals before training, but he's on a standard Western diet or a cleaner sort of bodybuilding diet, really, like standard bodybuilding diet. So yeah, that could come into it as well. If you're fat adapted, you probably don't need to eat as much before training. So that as well. So there's a few things to look at here. Maybe that rambling wasn't too bad and it kind of made sense. If you have any more questions on that topic, please just ask below. Work was long but good, thank you. Yes. Yeah, it's your longest day, isn't it, the Mondays? I like Tory mix tonight. Yeah, so this is only relevant to my mum, this part of the conversation, but if you look to the right of my air fryer, in the orange pouch, I have the taurine in it. You can keep that pouch if you want. The scoop is in there. That's a 5 gram scoop. I'd probably use for you half the scoop and use that at night. Just drink it with some squash, but don't drink so much that you end up like needing to urinate throughout the whole night. So just have it as compact as you can. I think that's probably the best thing for you. You'll probably find some use to it, I think, especially if you're not eating much at the moment. So we'll see how you go on. You might notice quite a profound difference, but as I always say, you won't find all the results in one thing. So you've got to try lots of different things to feel a bit better, I think. I like taurine throughout the day, just in my drinks. Yeah, I tend to do a bit before training, maybe like 2-3 grams. Then usually a big scoop at night, maybe 5 grams. Some days I'll use a bit throughout the day. Depends how I feel. I think it's one of those things that you don't necessarily feel it all the time, but it does some background stuff, which is quite useful. Then ramble a bit about the niacin flush, please. Would you recommend it for histamine issues? Yes, so vitamin B3 is useful in the cascade of enzymatic reactions, which helps break down histamine in the body, especially if you have a deficiency in vitamin B3, which is niacin, or you have issues with histamine intolerance. Now, dose, I'll probably say, I believe less than 300 milligrams total for the day. Pork is high in B3, so you can just eat more pork. I know that's quite popular in your area of the country, of the world, in Hungary. If you don't want to have pork, you can use a supplement, or you can get it from chicken thighs, things like that. There is a quantity of meat that you can use. Yeah, I think think you could find it useful, but try all these things one at a time. So obviously you speak to like me and my chat, you speak to Harry and his chat, and perhaps a few others. Whatever you decide to do, just pick one thing to try and help ease it. You'll see if it works then. Hopefully it will be. But I hope that answers your questions anyway. So it's just involved in some biochemical reactions, which are quite long way to explain. The DMSO Handbook, A New Paradigm in Healthcare, Dr. Harmut Fisher, Dr. Senior Dafford. I have actually read that book. I had the PDF ebook copy, funny enough. This was about 2 years ago I read through this. I mean, I browsed for it, like skimmed through it. But it's quite an interesting book. I was quite surprised that they could find that much data around this sort of thing. I'm just going to grab something. Ooh. Hi, Vel. How's it going? I haven't seen you before. Seems like I'm picking up new watchers every now and then. So thank you for popping by. If you have any questions, please just put them in. Love bone broth and water kefir and kombucha. Yeah, I don't get on well with kombucha. I don't know why. I think maybe it's like the alcohol content or something of it. I don't know. But kefir I do fine with milk and water kefir and sauerkraut, pickles. What else is there? Milk kefir. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I think a lot of people have their guts wiped out when they take all these drugs, medications, and have I say unnatural, very unwillingly, but you live a lifestyle which isn't optimal, basically, or you came from a lifestyle which wasn't optimal. So these strains of bacteria that are found within these foods can be quite useful, which I think are possibly quite critical for some people, at least if you want to feel better quicker. And your body will intend to heal itself over time, but I think some of these things are quite useful to hasten things in some cases. Do you recommend taurine spread out throughout the day or versus all at night? So taurine has quite, how to explain it? You have a taurine content within your body's cells, kind of thing, like all over. Now, the taurine will act on a receptor, and these receptors are all over your body. But what happens is it comes from your blood, or wherever it's assimilated, hits the receptor, and does its job. I think that most people would benefit from using the scalability side of it. So what I mean by that is I often talk about scalability. So if someone like myself is using around 10 grams per day, I would get more benefit from using maybe 3 grams, 2 grams, and 5 grams, spread, throughout the day in 3 doses, 3 hits. Whereas someone that is using maybe 3 grams, they might benefit in 1 hit. If they have sleep issues, it'd be useful before bed. If they have some gut issues and they don't digest their first meal very well, maybe have it an hour or so before your first meal. But if you're using the higher doses, sprinkle it in your diet here and there. It's not one of those things you have to like punch into your diet, in that you don't have to it's not like caffeine where you put a few hundred milligrams in, you feel energetic. It's that it does something in your body, then it leaves your bloodstream, it does its effect, then it reduces once it's provided that action. So yeah, for yourself, I think with what we've spoken about, you're probably using it about twice a day. You may benefit from 3 times a day. You may, but you may also not benefit at all. So it's a trial and error thing, I think, for yourself. Yes, Mondays are my longest day, 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Yeah, I woke up very early as well. I wasn't working though. Yeah, the last 2 days have been quite quiet for me actually in terms of work. A lot of procrastinating though, but I've been quite tired, pain, that sort of thing, Yes, I spend more on health. I remember now, yeah, you asked me about something before. I believe it is the hyperbaric chambers, and you sort of wanted to spend some money in that. How did that go, by the way, out of interest? If you have used it, that sort of thing. Interested to hear how you found it. Vel asked, Jonathan, do you take MSM? If yes, how much, and do you see any benefits? Yes, I do take MSM. Methyl sulfonyl something. Yeah, I should know what that's called. Yeah, I use between 4 and 8 grams per day. I've been using 8 grams for a while, and I noticed some benefits with my hair. It seems to grow back a bit thicker. My nails grow back very quickly on my fingers. I've never really had issues there anyway. My skin is a little bit better, generally speaking. I don't notice quite as much dryness in different parts of my body, so the skin seems to be where I find most of the benefit. It's useful for building joints as well. It's one of those things that people don't really think to use because it's a pain to take, because usually these things are in tablets. The powder tastes horrible. So you end up taking quite a few tablets to get the dose in that you might need. It could be for yourself anywhere between 500 milligrams and 8 grams. You know, I'm quite a big gentleman, so I can probably use 8 grams and benefit from it. But I don't think that all is necessary. It might be that you just use 1 or 2 grams per day and find a benefit. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that sort of thing. If you have any more questions, please just ask. Sandra asks, I heard somewhere that taurine supplementation lowers biotin levels. Can you speak on that? No, I've not heard that personally. There could be some biochemical reaction, but I find that anytime you look into the literature and you punch in 2 words, you can often find an interaction, but I don't know if that interaction will be significant or not. Our body has ways of regulating things, yes, but I've spoken to enough people at this point to believe that taurine would, well, if deficient, at least, you know, how do you test deficiencies? I don't know. It'd probably quite an expensive testing method if there was one. If you're deficient, that sort of thing, you'll notice a net positive. I don't think it's ever a case of taking something, then removing it because you read a study and it said whatever. Now, if you were to take taurine and then you're concerned about your biotin levels because, I don't know, say you're worried about hair loss because biotin's useful for regrowing hair, then you might think, maybe you reduce the taurine and see if that makes a difference or not. I'm not convinced with that thing. Those are like taurine levels, I'm not convinced. But I've not I'm here, so that's kind of what I think. Sorry, I forgot the question. If it comes up. Yeah, no worries. The chat's quite quiet today. I've only got 12 people in, so I'm not too stressed. Glad you brought that up. Antibiotics bad. Yes. I'm still suffering from the negative impacts of the antibiotics I was given without really realizing, because I was out of it on morphine. I was given 4 lots of 5 milliliters. I remember that much. Yeah, not good. I think antibiotics are useful if you're infected, and the infected disease state that you're going to get because of not using them is worse than the antibiotics themselves. Yeah, use antibiotics. Otherwise, avoid them if you can. I think. Yeah, I think that's sensible anyway. I don't think that's medically contraindicated advice. I think that is probably the best advice you can give in terms of antibiotics and whether or not to use them. Question: does supplementing with taurine necessitate additional biotin? I heard this somewhere. Can you speak on that? Oh, sorry. I think you already answered that question. If you have more questions, please just ask on that sort of topic. Sorry, Jonathan, just heard your response. Back in UK, farming, building an online limbic community and working. Yeah, what's happening on this limbic community thing? Because you asked me to be an affiliate, but I don't know what's going on. We need to have this conversation about it as well so I can suss out what I think. Yeah. I didn't know what limbic was or what it meant until you said it about 2 months ago. Now I'm quite intrigued. But I'm sure it's useful. I wouldn't talk about it. Arena to difference. It's hard to describe. It's subtle but noticeable. Taurine. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty certain at this point that some things are more useful for people than others. It's like as a body, you know, people would take BCAAs and glutamine and all this sort of thing, and they say, "Oh, I took BCAAs, it didn't make a difference." Then another person would say, "Well, I used it, and I used it 10 grams intra-workout, and it maybe gain a pound of muscle in 2 weeks, or whatever it happens to be." You think, how can it be so different between two people? But what I always think is our bodies are quite diverse. Although we're biologically very similar, our own body's experiences to the natural state that we live in both environmental and internal, vary a lot. So it may mean that some people will benefit from touring and others won't at all. That's kind of what I think. But yeah, I'm glad it is useful because it does seem to be generally beneficial to people. I notice half people I recommend it to notice benefit. The other half of people don't notice any benefit, but don't feel any worse for it. I'm yet to see anyone say to me, I took it and it made me ill. So I think that is quite a good indication for me that it is perhaps useful. Hi, Jonathan. Hi, beautiful colours. How's it going, Deck? Nice to see you. Are we going to be doing this chat one day, this pre-recorded conversation? Are you still the add-on queen? That's an inside joke, by the way, guys. Bio guy for gut health. Is that the El Rutiro product, isn't it? Yeah, we never really got. It's when I was managing the health food shop. We never really got behind that product. I don't think it was because it wasn't a good product. I think they didn't market themselves very well. But now looking back at some research, I think it could be quite useful. I know they do multiple products, but yeah, Bio Guy for gut health. If Harry recommends it, it probably is useful. I'd say that much. I thought adding taurine to my way of eating has made a difference. Yes. Yeah, I mean, you're eating loads of food at one point. Your body was obviously saying, "Give me more" or something. So maybe it was a taurine that you needed more of. I'm not going to say taurine is going to cure everything for everyone and it's all happy plain sailing something, but it does seem to be something that is affordable that people can use. Doesn't really have many negative implications to be used, and it is involved around the whole body to some degree in lots of different places. So I think it is perhaps potentially quite useful to a lot of people. As I've said probably twice already today, I'm rambling, but Carnivore Rambles. Yes, please, I'd love to. Yeah, we'll set this up at some point. I think I've still got your email. I'm not sure, but if not, just send me an email and we'll go back to you. Yeah, I'm going to try and focus more on doing some of my own content nowadays because people seem to like me rambling for some reason. I've noticed a few things which is a bit disheartening. People generally don't value the cooking videos I make, like the carnivore food ones. They don't seem to value the workout videos I make. People do value it. I'll say that much. I do get nice comments on it and people message me and stuff, but as a general whole, they don't seem to hit or impact many people. So I'm going to focus more on the informative stuff that people can watch and think, oh, that was informative. I didn't have to spend 4 hours long listening to 2 different interviews from one guy. And it breaks down all the information in a easy, compact, condensed way where people can find out, is it going to be useful to them, whatever it is, and how would they apply it themselves. So that's what I'm going to try and do. But I do like interviewing people like yourself that are positive, and people that have a good sort of mindset towards it all. I find it very impactful when it does spur people, and I think it's very motivational. So that's why I have Sophie on a lot of my videos, as much as I can anyway. If she's around me for our live Q&A, she's definitely on it. Unless she's asleep. Good evening, better late than never. I was supposed to be playing badminton at the moment, but the other players had other ideas and didn't show up. Brilliant. Yeah, that's why I don't like sports where it's you versus them. I like individual sports like the bodybuilding things. Even sprinting I quite like doing because I could train on my own. It wasn't a bad thing. Yeah, that is frustrating. I used to love badminton. When I was a young man, I was pretty good at it because I was quite quick. I was a sprinter, so I could move quite well. I was very agile as a young person. But now I can't move like that. My body will just break itself. I tried kicking a football the other day and tried to do some keepy uppies. You'll find this funny. And it wasn't like I crashed and failed or whatever, but I kind of tried to kick it up and onto my toes and flick it up and do some keepy uppies. But I just kicked it up once and it just kind of went forward. Then I stumbled a little bit. I was like, oh, that kind of hurt. And I think, right, so I can bench press over 100 kilos, but I can't do a keepy uppy. That tells me my upper body is strong and ready to go, but my lower body is not having it. So I actually put off a leg workout today because, well, I want to say leg, I mean the isolation stuff, so leg curls, leg extensions, body weight sort of things. Because I was in so much pain, but I'm hoping tomorrow, if I feel a bit better, I'll be able to do some of that stuff. I do like training a lot. I love it. But yeah, what you're out of interest. I did a lot of catching up to do. Fortunately, I eat far less protein than before. Perhaps that is why I do feel better when adding taurine. Yeah, maybe. I mean, if you eat less cooked meat, there'll be a bit more taurine in it. So you can do that as well. If you don't like to eat raw beef and things like that, then don't do it and cook it and add some taurine if you find it useful. But ideally, what I say to most people is you don't want to take any supplements, because if you have to take a supplement, it suggests that your body isn't working 100% evolutionarily compatible in a natural, well, I say natural, in like a species appropriate state. Anytime you have to add something to your diet that is outside of animal food, so dairy, meat, eggs, fish, whatever, it usually means your body's not working 100%. So yeah, I mean, what I say to most of my clients is, we aim to not take any supplements. That's the end goal, So yeah, I mean, use it as long as you find it useful. It's your health at the end of the day. So that's what we're all collectively trying to achieve as a whole. I'll email you and you motivate me too. What do I email? Do I motivate you with my Pepsi Max cherry? Yeah, thanks though. I appreciate that. It means a lot. Am I late? How's chat behaving today? A bit late, but I'll stand for a bit longer just because you're here. We've got 16 people live in the chat now, so I'm very pleased that people decided to listen to my Monday segment of Carnivore Ramblings. Seemed very good so far. We had one incident where a loyal subscriber decided not to put question in front of the question. The chat went absolutely wild and I couldn't keep up, and it really disgruntled me. I'm being facetious. I played badminton too, loved it. I believe everyone's behaving. Yeah, I didn't seem to any trolls on my channel. I think I made one of the best decisions ever, calling myself composition consultant, because it's not like carnivore consultant or anything, because if I did that, I'd get loads of people hammering on at me. Because I'm quite discreet about my videos, I talk about some of if you look at any of my videos, it's, other than my interviews, it's not really like carnivore this. It's usually, this is the health thing, this is the workout thing, this is the dietary thing, I try to summarize things in a way that people can find useful and see the value in animal foods without being too in their face. At the same time, I do want to promote the carnivore diet as much as humanly possible. A lot of benefit for it. Thank you. I'll stop all this up. Yeah, if you stop the supplements a deck and you notice that you feel generally worse, stop, add them back in. I don't think it makes you any less of a human or any less perfect for adding supplements. I mean, I've got some B complex up there, some taurine, tyrosine, pre-workout powders with artificial colors and sweeteners, some old stuff which I've not even used or anything, but yeah, I've got a few different things up there on my shelf. Thank you for keeping an eye on them, Adek. Yeah, not bad, eh? I'll probably stay on here for about 10 to 15 minutes longer if you have any more questions. If not many come up, I'll probably just call it a day and go to bed in a bit, because I'm quite tired. My back's doing okay at the moment, my hips okay. So I'm right for a little bit. But yeah, I had a really interesting discussion today actually with Lambs. Lambs, if you can go back to the chat, perhaps to the start, you'll probably find some of it quite interesting. I talk a bit about my back pain at the moment and what I'm doing, and pretty much everything I've already said to you already. So you might find that quite useful. Will do. I love experimenting, and that is true. Nobody should care if I supplement, but I would love my carnivore just to be mixing non fats. Yeah. I mean, people have all this zealotry about you're not a proper carnivore because you have a milk kefir, because you have dairy, because you have cheese, because you have eggs and fish. I'm like, yeah, all right. What is a carnivore? Someone that eats animal foods. I'm doing exactly that. I'd say 98% plus of my dietary intake, if you're looking at calories or energy value, is from animal foods. So yeah, nothing wrong with what you're doing. We're not trying to be perfect here. We're just trying to feel better. people have this like weird, someone said to me, I don't know how to word it, but it came across as a bit of an ignorant response. They kind of said to me, this is quite a long time ago. They said, do the lion diet because it will heal your back. I'm like, have you seen my back? Have you seen it now? I don't know if eating beef and lamb would provide me with any benefit. I did actually try it for 3 days and it was horrendous. I had heart palpitations. I was already fat adapted, so it wasn't that. I didn't take any electrolyte supplements, which may have been useful, but I think I didn't enjoy it either. I had such strong signals to eat other foods that I thought, maybe not for me. So yeah, I added in, I think, a glass of milk the next day and a couple of eggs, and I felt much better. So that tells me don't do the lion diet. And I've had people consult me before and say, you don't like the lion diet. I was like, no, I think it does have some practical use for a lot of people. I think also some people will not benefit from it at all, and it'll be in the wrong direction because they have genetic factors through their ancestral recent heritage, which would indicate that they need a higher requirement of certain nutrients, for example, choline, calcium, maybe some phospholipids, maybe they have genetic factors such as MTHFR polymorphism. It might require more riboflavin to upregulate the folate pathway. So yeah, the line isn't for everyone. Doesn't mean it's useless though. So yeah, thank you, appreciate that. My kid experimented with keto and had issues with heart palpitations. Your thoughts? With the keto, is it your little one is doing loads of vegetables and stuff, like salady stuff? Is it that he's having some anti-nutrients through those foods, but he's grossly reduced his nutrients overall in his diet? Therefore, he's getting in less electrolytes. I'd look at that. Palpitations. Usually, you can throw in something like taurine to help regulate those things. If it's not effective, you can benefit from adding in some electrolytes. If that's still not effective, I'd look at gut disturbance. I'll probably look at gut disturbance as the first thing. So if he's trying keto for a day or two and he starts feeling horrible, yeah, probably needs to try it slower, Luckily, he's got you on board to help, given some good info. Very lucky individual. That's what I'd look at. Say, gut health, transition slowly, try taurine, maybe, try electrolytes, maybe. Perhaps don't try and go straight to 0 carb initially. It might be that he needs to go from maybe 100 carbs to 50 to 30 to 20 to 10 or whatever it is. I find usually a glass of milk helps some people with electrolyte issues, but they want to be pure, don't they? They want to, just do 0 carb because they're obsessed with numbers. I like numbers myself, but I don't know if that's a number I like for myself. Got to go. Have a lovely evening. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Deck, for joining. I always appreciate your insights to these sort of things. And yeah, send me an email. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'll watch them start later on. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's just the first 5-10 minutes you might find useful. Just rambling on about what I've already told you pretty much. Thank you for your answer. No worries. Thank you for the question. You say that capsules can maybe damage the gut. I take a few supplements and capsules. If I take supplement but throw the capsule, would that be done? Would I lose the benefit of the supplement? There is some benefit to encapsulating a supplement if there is an indication that the supplement has to survive the stomach line or the stomach juices and travel further down whilst remaining intact in that encapsulated form. I think most things generally once they hit the stomach are well absorbed. I think that a lot of things can be damaging to some people with very sensitive guts. So if you have a sensitive gut and you're taking, say, I don't know, a B complex tablet and it's got microcrystalline and magnesium stearate and all these additives and colors and all these random things, I think that it could be quite useless, kind of damaging. So I probably wouldn't include that sort of thing. Now, that's in a tablet. Now, if it's in a capsule and it has cellulose in the capsule, and you have particular sensitivity to fiber, I'm pretty sure I do, then yeah, take it out the capsule, put the powder in a glass of water or something, just swig it down. I think it does depend on the supplement you're taking. That is a good question. Yeah, it comes down to does the ingredient within the capsule need to survive the gut or not and go further down. Yeah, I find that gelatin supplements don't, like the gelatin capsules, don't seem to irritate people as much because it's gelatin is like a protein, isn't it? You know, your body can break down protein quite well, fiber less as much. I think anytime you put a supplement in your gut, you're taking the risk that it will affect your intestinal permeability as it goes downstream. I mean, if I look at myself, if I take a ibuprofen tablet, I think I mentioned this earlier, or paracetamol or something because my hip pain, back pain, whatever, I'll notice that the next day my digestive system isn't quite as good as it usually is. And I think it is that immediate for some people. Now, if you're someone that comes from quite a healthy background, you probably could take supplements. But if you're that healthy, why do you need to take supplements? So, do you see how I'm unpacking this here? I try not to be too reductionist or myopic about my ideas, and I think that you could try it out of the capsule, just take it that way. It depends what it is, you know. So yeah, if you can, I can give you an idea maybe. I don't use it yet. Hyperbaric. That was it. I want to talk with my nephrologist first. Not to say that will make a huge difference after talking with them, but I probably will in a month or two. Yeah. Have you had the nuclear tracer test given by your nephrologist consultant? Now, I had issues, or supposed issues, with my kidneys before. They actually found my kidneys were fully adapted to a high protein intake because of the diet I've been doing for well over a decade now, high protein. And they also found that my kidney function was absolutely spot on and perfect. So kidneys are in a way like a muscle, and they can be adaptive to the diet that you're giving it. Now, I wouldn't want to stress them for the sake of stressing them. I don't think that's wise. But yeah, get some more testing done if you can. That might be useful for you. And it's hard to fight. I mean, I'm not a phlebotomist or an expert in drawing blood or reading blood tests. It's not my area of expertise. You know, my area of expertise is getting people that usually are in an unhealthy state into the best shape of their lives. I do seem to do this quite successfully. If you read back on my chat earlier with different people, yeah, I think for you it might be useful. I don't know. But yeah, I'm interested to see that. If you could keep me updated, I'd appreciate that, because I am genuinely interested to see how that affects you, because I've been asked quite a bit about hyperbaric chambers, but I don't know how effective they are, because it's not something many people do. You know, we can read studies, but you know, what I want to hear about is how does Michelle from the US benefit from hyperbaric chamber? You know, because I know you personally, I can kind of say, then pass that information on if it's useful. Yeah, I'm going to head off in about 2 or 3 minutes, by the way, guys. If you have any more questions, please put them into the chat. I'm just going to have another sip from my Pepsi Max. Yeah, I do have a bottle of lowered deuterium, 145 parts per million Evian mountain alpine mineral water here, but whatever. I've heard that caffeine slows down the absorption creatine. Is that true? No, your body will uptake all the creatine it needs and excrete the excess waste that it does not need. Now, with different drugs, because caffeine is a drug, they can affect the absorption. It depends on how that drug is affecting your gut at that time. Now, when we look at the pharmacokinetics of different drugs and how that interacts with food absorption, because creatine is a molecule found within food, we see that it can uneven things a bit. So it might be that, for example, I'm trying to think now. Some people take like caffeine in a post-workout drink because it aids the uptake of glucose into muscle cells. Yeah, but over the span of 24 hours, how is that going to be affected? Is it going to be affected? Probably not. Now, creatine is not something we need to worry about absorbing fast or slow. We need to be able to get it into our system over a period of time, because then when it's in our system, it'll be used. So I don't think the key here is, it's like the post-workout anabolic window thing. I don't think that we need to have, 500 grams of carbs with instant glucose and instant whey and protein pack. I think it's a case of what we do over a 24-hour period. So I think if you can, I personally think if someone's like to ask me, what do you think of creatine as a supplement, taking it in one hit post-workout versus in 10 hits throughout the day, I think the absorption overall would be the same, and the effect on performance outcomes would be the same. I've read studies which say otherwise, but I'm not convinced it makes a difference. And I know a lot of them are industry funded. So I think that perhaps indicates to me that perhaps they don't really hold all the weight that they say they do. And a lot of the times, these studies which they say, absorption, this and this many grams and whatever it is, they have very small participant cohorts. They're not very translatable across a broad spectrum of the general public. So I wouldn't be too concerned about absorption speeds or things like creatine. It is effectively kind of like an energy substrate kind of thing, without trying to be too scientific. So it's kind of like, it's another example. It's like the thing about absorbing or oxidizing fat versus glucose. So people say, oh, you want to do slow intensity cardio, like long 30-minute one, because it'll oxidize more fat. But if you do high intensity training, it'll oxidize more carbs. But what will happen over a 24-hour period? Energy substrates go like this. It depends what your body needs at different times. So what will happen over a 24-hour period? That's effectively it. I know I said it earlier, but I honestly wouldn't put much weight in that sort of thing. I wouldn't worry. Very much like your name, position consultant. Yes, it's me. Yeah, thanks for that. I appreciate that. I had my logo made about, trying to think. It's part of what I do in terms of like nutrition consultancy is it's a bit of a bite back at my nutrition lecturer back in the day when I was in university, and they said it won't be a very good business model. Your logo is a bit too masculine. It's very generic, all this sort of thing, these sort of things, which I thought, whatever. Like my logo was completely custom made. There's one similar to it, but mine was made from scratch. The guy that made it for me, what's the word? I commend him quite highly because he did make this, very bespoke to me. And he made it for free as well, which is kind of a good old friend of mine. But yeah, composition consultant. I thought, alliteration. I kind of wanted the consultant bit in there, but I don't know what to put in front of it. Composition, body composition. I think it makes me quite broadly marketable as a brand anyway. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with my name, and it is my own little discreet way of fighting back at some of the nonsense I was told back in uni. I don't like being told that something I try to succeed with won't be successful. It really bothers me. I try to fight back on that sort of thing, and I use that kind of, what's the word? It's like a negative conditioning thing. I use that as fuel. Adds fuel to my fire. Do you consider Pepsi Max a benign beverage? Many gurus advise against it. I think that the optimal thing to drink would be mineral water or spring water. What source you get depends where you're from. I quite like the Evian water. I find it tastes nice. I think the sweeteners in Pepsi Max are damaging. they're not health promoting. I don't think they're benign. I think there's definitely I think any amount that you have will have a net negative on your body, in terms of like your internal systems. I do, however, quite like it. It seems to make you feel better. It seems to help reduce my symptoms of sickness sometimes, because I don't, for example, I don't travel very well. Sophie will tell you I can't sit in a car for very long travel. I feel sick like so quickly. So things like that that might have ginger in it, maybe. I find that quite useful. So for me, I quite like it. Now, would I recommend people drink it? No, because as soon as I say to someone, "Oh, have sweeteners, have this, have that," have spices, have all these like non-species specific modern sort of things, that proposes to people the idea that these infringements are acceptable. And it might be that the average person can find them acceptable and not suffer ill effects. But when I'm consulting people so often that have severe reactions to all these things, I can't get behind it and say that it's going to be helpful, because then it means to everyone else they're going to try and rationalize in their head and say, well, yeah, you can have this, you can try this. Oh, it won't be too bad. Yeah, but for me, people need to hear the truth, and the truth is, not many things that we do in life are health promoting. We can't be perfect, but we can outline what the perfect diet is, the perfect sort of lifestyle is, to a quite relatively close degree. But are we going to follow that? No. If I set the bar for the average person so low, they might underachieve a bit. They might need to be up here. They might need to be hitting the bam perfect of everything. So I can't, in my right mind, recommend people drink this and say, "Oh, well, Jonathan does it." No, I'm not saying it to anyone to do anything that isn't health promoting, ever. Yeah, you got me fed up a bit there, Lambs boy. Not you, but just in general, like people that say, like, "Oh, you can get away with this. It's not going to be that bad." It's like, "Oh, count calories and do a 500 calorie per day deficit every week, and you'll lose a pound of fat." It's like, will you? Probably not. Like, it winds me up to that sort of extent. Great choice, your company name, brilliant. Yeah, I'm quite happy with it. I think, where is it there? I think his triceps could be a bit bigger, a bit more tricep sweep, maybe. Maybe his hands could be a bit more, I don't know, less pointy. I don't know. Let's have a look at Sodi. I think her head's a bit of a funny shape. It's got like a cross going across it here. I don't know if that's like a belly or what. Or maybe like a boob. I don't know. The dumbbell's quite good. The rest of it. What I wanted something that seemed a bit like a shield represents strength and like defensive and maybe tolerance, like safe. So I think that helps reaffirm some ideas people might have about my channel, my branding, how I come across a person. Because the way I am is I try to help people, Now, if I was someone that was trying to go into battle and do loads of vegan reaction videos, I might have a composition consultant with like a big sword and daggers and spears and things. That means I'm offensive. I'm trying to belittle someone. I'm trying to cause someone damage. I'm trying to defend people. So that's the purpose of the shield. Yeah, I have a lot of symbolism, like hidden symbolism. If anyone knows me, I'm actually wearing my official composition consultant hoodie today, just because it's quite cold. I got the window open. Right, I'm going to wrap this up now, guys. I'll give you perhaps 1 more minute to ask any questions, and I'm going to be leaving for today. Just so everyone is aware, I do have a YouTube donations part of my channel on my website. So if you go to compositionconsultant.com, if you do want to leave me a small donation, that'd be much appreciated. You're not obliged to do this, but some people do, and they find that it sort of helps promote what I'm trying to do. So you can do that, and I only lose about 1% of whatever that is. I have denominations of 5, 10, and 25 British pounds. Here on YouTube, the lowest you can pay me effectively is £1.99. I only get around 70% of that. 30% goes to the platform. So if you want to give me more money, feel free to. If you want to give me some money, but you want to know more about what I have to say about your diet, how I might change your training, anything I have particular expertise about, please just consult with me. They're affordable. People find them useful. And I generally always have, I do always have good feedback. I need to start telling people this and act more proudly about it. You won't be hearing people shout from the trees about how bad of a coach I am and how bad advice is that I give to people. I don't get it perfect every time, but I do try my best, and often for a lot of people how they've got on from the advice that I give them. I find that if they stick to the plan and make small changes here and there, they generally start to feel better, because that's what I've had to do myself. I've had to make a change, feel it better, make a change, feel it better. Life isn't always perfect. You can't always be perfect. You know, we have birthdays, we have celebrations. We have these things that come up in our day-to-day life which impact and infringe upon what we're trying to achieve, which is good health and a good physique, strong body. So there's that as well. Right. Thought out your logo. Yes. I strongly agree with that statement. I can fully agree with what you've said there, without any doubt. So I'm being silly today. Sophie's not here, so I can get with it. Take care, Jonathan. Great channel, boy. Thank you, Val. Yeah, if you have any sort of special requests for certain videos you want me to make, I do have a massive backlog of things that I need to do on my channel. But if there's a demand for it, I don't really currently have a hierarchy of what I'm trying to put out there in terms of videos. Some things come out at the time which are probably more useful to people, like they trend more, so it gets me a bit more exposure. But if you have something you want me to cover which you think would be useful to yourself or other people, please just ask me. Contact me through email, contact me through socials, contact me through a comment under this video, perhaps. So yeah, be completely fine with me, and thank you for being here. Thanks, John. Have a nice one. You too, Lambs. Appreciate you. Enjoy your evening, and I hope things work out well with your little one with the keto diet, and I'm sure you give them some good advice. So yeah, take care. All right, good evening, guys. I'll see you on Friday, I believe. Sophie will be coming to stay in this direction Friday. I don't know what time yet I'll be live. I'll aim to try and keep it around this time, so it'll be either, I would say, 4, 5, 6 or 7 p.m. UK time. It depends what time Sophie is here and not here, sort of thing. But yeah, that's got to come first, because I'm not going to see Sophie for quite a while, so I've got to spend time there. But it might end up just being me rambling on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. If not, what I'll try and do is I'll organise it close to the time, check out for the notifications that come up on your phones, on your screens, or whatever. And hopefully you'll be able to get in touch with me and join me in my next Carnivore Ramblings segment. Thank you. Great. Thank you, Zbigniew. And thank you, Tom. Right, thanks, everyone, for joining. Thank you for my channel members that have been so kind as to donate their hard-earned money to be a member of my channel. I do appreciate you. If you have any questions in the future, please let me know, and I'll see you on the next segment. See you guys.